First contact and deception. Captain Sarah Chen stood motionless on the observation deck of the ESS Horizon, her dark eyes fixed on the mysterious vessel that had appeared at the edge of Mars' orbit. After 15 years of deep space exploration, humanity had finally made contact with an alien civilization. The ship before them defied conventional design principles. Its crystalline surface seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously, creating an effect that made it difficult to focus on any single point of its structure. "Captain, they're responding to our greeting," Lieutenant David Foster reported from his communication station, his voice steady despite the tension that filled the bridge. "Translation matrix is processing now." Sarah maintained her composure as the main view screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared was both beautiful and unsettling. Its translucent skin revealed pulsing organs beneath, and multiple sets of eyes arranged in a circular pattern studied the human crew with evident curiosity. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonic undertones that made the ship's windows vibrate. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Luminary, seekers of knowledge and harbingers of enlightenment. We come in peace, bearing gifts of technology and wisdom." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine despite the aliens' seemingly peaceful words. Something about their arrival felt too perfectly timed, too carefully orchestrated. Earth had just successfully established its first permanent colonies on Mars and had begun mining operations in the asteroid belt. They were expanding into space at an unprecedented rate. "On behalf of Earth's United Space Command, we welcome you," Sarah responded, following first contact protocols. "I am Captain Sarah Chen of the ESS Horizon." Over the next several weeks, the Luminary shared glimpses of their advanced technology. They spoke of faster-than-light travel, gravity manipulation, and energy generation beyond humanity's current understanding. But Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's chief scientist, noticed concerning patterns in the data they were receiving. "Captain, something's not right," Elena confided during a private meeting in Sarah's quarters. She pulled up a holographic display showing energy readings from the Luminary vessel. "These power fluctuations, they're not consistent with the peaceful research vessel they claim to be. The energy output suggests weapon systems, massive ones." Sarah had served through enough conflicts on Earth to recognize the signs of an impending attack. The way the Luminary positioned their ships, always maintaining precise distances from Earth's major defense installations. The careful questions about human population centers and resource distribution. They weren't sharing technology. They were gathering intelligence. The confirmation of her suspicions came during what was supposed to be a routine cultural exchange. A junior officer, Ensign Michael Chung, noticed that the Luminary's historical database contained detailed information about Earth's military capabilities, information they couldn't have gathered in their short time of contact. "They've been watching us for years," Sarah realized, studying the evidence Michael had uncovered. "This isn't first contact. This is the final phase of their reconnaissance." Before she could warn Earth Command, the Luminary struck. Their crystalline ship suddenly emitted a pulse of energy that disabled the Horizon's primary systems. Similar pulses targeted Earth's orbital defense platforms, rendering them useless in seconds. "All hands, battle stations," Sarah ordered, even as emergency lights bathed the bridge in red. "Get me Earth Command." But it was too late for warnings. Across the solar system, more Luminary ships emerged from what appeared to be fold points in space. Hundreds of them, their crystalline surfaces now glowing with barely contained energy. Their true message echoed across all frequencies. "Humanity, your resources are now property of the Luminary Collective. Your resistance has been anticipated and will be futile. Submit, and you may survive as our servants." They hadn't counted on Sarah Chen, or the indomitable spirit of the human race. As she watched the Luminary fleet position itself for what they assumed would be a quick subjugation, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Throughout history, humanity had faced countless attempts at conquest. Each time, they had not only survived but emerged stronger. "Initiate Protocol Omega," she commanded, activating a hidden set of systems that Dr. Rodriguez had installed for exactly this type of situation, and send a message to all Earth forces. The real first contact war begins now. The Luminary were about to learn what countless others had discovered throughout human history, that humanity was at its most dangerous when backed into a corner. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their right to exist as a free species among the stars. As the ESS Horizon's experimental quantum shields came online, technology the Luminary didn't know humans possessed, Sarah Chen prepared to show these self-proclaimed enlightened beings that humanity had a few surprises of their own. The deception was over, but the true battle was just beginning. The hidden strength. Dr. James Wright hadn't slept in 3 days. The underground laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity as he studied the fragments of Luminary technology salvaged from their first wave of attacks. His tired eyes stared into a quantum microscope, examining the crystalline structure that made their ships nearly invulnerable to conventional weapons. "You need to see this," he called to General Rebecca Santos, who had been coordinating Earth's defensive strategy from the adjacent command center. The holographic display showed the molecular structure of the alien material shifting and adapting in response to different energy signatures. "Their hulls aren't just armor," James explained, his voice rising with excitement despite his exhaustion. "They're living crystal matrices that adapt to incoming energy weapons. That's why our initial attacks failed. The crystal structure learns from each hit." Rebecca leaned closer, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. "Can we use this against them?" Before James could answer, the facility's sensors detected movement in orbit. Another Luminary assault force was approaching, their ships casting ethereal shadows across the lunar surface. "They're launching their second wave," Rebecca announced, already moving toward the command center. "Whatever you found, Doctor, we need it now." James followed her, tablet in hand. "The crystals adapt, yes, but they have a fundamental flaw. They're perfect, too perfect. Like any crystalline structure, they have natural resonance frequencies. Hit them right, and instead of adapting, they shatter," Rebecca finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. The next hour was chaos as Luminary ships breached Earth's atmosphere. Their energy weapons carved glowing paths through the sky. But this time, humanity was ready. The revelation about their ship's crystalline nature had led to a breakthrough. Deep in the Nevada desert, Dr. Maya Patel calibrated the prototype sonic cannon. Unlike traditional weapons, it didn't try to overpower the Luminary shields. Instead, it emitted precisely tuned frequencies that matched the crystal's natural resonance. The first shot caught a Luminary cruiser off guard. The ship's beautiful surface began to vibrate, the living crystal trying to adapt but unable to change its fundamental structure. Cracks appeared, spreading like spider webs across its hull. Within seconds, the mighty vessel shattered into 1,000,000 glittering shards. But humanity's advantage went beyond just exploiting the aliens' technological weakness. The Luminary had made a critical mistake in their assessment of Earth's species. They saw humans as primitive because they lacked the Luminary's natural adaptations and crystalline technology. What they failed to understand was that humanity's greatest strength lay in its apparent weaknesses. "They evolved in a stable environment," James explained to the hastily assembled War Council. "Their crystalline biology allowed them to adapt quickly to specific threats, but they never developed the kind of deep resilience that humans have. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways every day." The Luminary's second wave of attacks revealed this truth in stark detail. While their ships were more powerful, their crews couldn't match the endurance of human pilots. Where the aliens needed perfect conditions inside their vessels, human crews could function even in damaged, depressurized compartments. Each battle became a test of stamina that the Luminary hadn't evolved to face. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez demonstrated this during the Battle of the Pacific. When her fighter's life support failed, she continued flying for another 40 minutes on emergency oxygen, downing 3 luminary ships before returning to base. The aliens couldn't comprehend such resilience. In their experience, imperfect environmental conditions meant immediate defeat. The war expanded beyond Earth's atmosphere. In the asteroid belt, mining ships retrofitted with sonic weapons proved devastatingly effective. Their crews, already adapted to the harsh conditions of space mining, turned their experience into a tactical advantage. They knew how to use the belt's challenging environment, while the luminaries struggled to maintain their perfect formation amidst the chaos of tumbling rocks and radiation storms. James worked tirelessly to refine the sonic weapon technology, but he also made another crucial discovery. The salvaged luminary data revealed that their entire civilization was built around the principle of perfect adaptation. They had engineered their biology and technology to respond instantly to any threat, but this specialization came at a cost. They don't know how to improvise, he told Rebecca as they watched the latest battle footage. They can adapt to specific threats, but they can't handle chaos. Every human victory so far has come from doing something they considered irrational or impossible. This insight led to a new strategy. Instead of trying to match the luminaries' technological superiority, Earth's forces embraced unpredictability. Attacks came from multiple angles, using varying weapons and tactics. The luminaries' adaptive capabilities became a weakness, their ships trying to adjust to too many different threats simultaneously, their perfect crystalline systems overwhelmed by the sheer variety of human warfare. As the second wave of luminary ships retreated from Earth's orbit, their once beautiful crystal hulls now scarred and fractured, humanity realized they had discovered something profound about their own nature. Their strength didn't lie in perfection or specialized adaptation, but in their ability to endure, improvise, and overcome despite their limitations. The message they sent to the retreating luminary fleet was simple: we are humanity. We don't need to be perfect to be strong. The war expanded beyond Earth's atmosphere. In the asteroid belt, mining ships retrofitted with sonic weapons proved devastatingly effective. Their crews, already adapted to the harsh conditions of space mining, turned their experience into a tactical advantage. They knew how to use the belt's challenging environment, while the luminaries struggled to maintain their perfect formation amidst the chaos of tumbling rocks and radiation storms. James worked tirelessly to refine the sonic weapon technology, but he also made another crucial discovery. The salvaged luminary data revealed that their entire civilization was built around the principle of perfect adaptation. They had engineered their biology and technology to respond instantly to any threat, but this specialization came at a cost. They don't know how to improvise, he told Rebecca as they watched the latest battle footage. They can adapt to specific threats, but they can't handle chaos. Every human victory so far has come from doing something they considered irrational or impossible. This insight led to a new strategy. Instead of trying to match the luminaries' technological superiority, Earth's forces embraced unpredictability. Attacks came from multiple angles, using varying weapons and tactics. The luminaries' adaptive capabilities became a weakness, their ships trying to adjust to too many different threats simultaneously, their perfect crystalline systems overwhelmed by the sheer variety of human warfare. As the second wave of luminary ships retreated from Earth's orbit, their once beautiful crystal hulls now scarred and fractured, humanity realized they had discovered something profound about their own nature. Their strength didn't lie in perfection or specialized adaptation, but in their ability to endure, improvise, and overcome despite their limitations. The message they sent to the retreating luminary fleet was simple: we are humanity. We don't need to be perfect to be strong. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers, Admiral Chen observed, studying the sensor data. They still think quantity of ships equals guaranteed victory. Then let's show them quality of spirit, Maya responded, activating the global command network. Her next words would reach every human outpost from Mercury to the Kuiper Belt. This is Commander Patel to all Earth forces. The enemy approaches with overwhelming numbers, believing this will be their final victory. They see our differences as weakness, our diversity as disorder. Today, we prove them wrong. Today, we show them that humanity's greatest strength lies not in perfection, but in our ability to stand together despite our differences, and because of them. Across the solar system, humanity's combined fleet moved into position. Each ship carried the flags of multiple nations, a visual reminder of their shared purpose. The crews spoke different languages, but worked with unified precision, their movements choreographed by AI systems that bridged cultural and linguistic gaps. As the massive luminary fleet emerged from their fold points, they confronted something unprecedented in their experience, a species that had turned its greatest apparent weakness into its defining strength. Humanity didn't need to be perfect. They didn't need to all be the same. They just needed to stand together. The battle for Earth's solar system was about to begin again, but this time, humanity wasn't fighting as scattered nations. They were fighting as one species, united not despite their differences, but because of them. And in that unity, they had found a power that no amount of crystalline perfection could match. The counterstrike. Special Operations Commander Marcus Torres watched from the bridge of the stealth carrier Shadow of Earth as the massive luminary fleet approached Mars. Their crystalline ships filled space like a swarm of angry wasps, each one pulsing with enough energy to level a city. But this time, humanity wasn't waiting to be attacked. "All ghost ships, report status," Marcus commanded, his voice steady despite the tension thrumming through the bridge. One by one, confirmation signals winked green on his tactical display. 50 ships scattered throughout the asteroid belt, each one virtually invisible thanks to their new quantum-damping technology. Dr. Wright's latest breakthrough had given them true stealth capability. By incorporating salvaged luminary crystals into their hull design, they could absorb and redirect scanner waves, making them appear as nothing more than space debris. It wasn't perfect like luminary tech, but it didn't need to be. "Remember," Marcus addressed his fleet, "we're not trying to match their strength. We're going to show them something they've never seen before, human ingenuity at its finest." The plan was audacious, perhaps even crazy by luminary standards. While Commander Patel's main fleet engaged the enemy head-on near Mars, drawing their attention with an impressive display of force, Marcus's Ghost Fleet would execute Operation Thunderbolt, a strike at the heart of the luminary command structure. Lieutenant Sophia Reyes, piloting the lead stealth fighter, guided her ship through a field of tumbling asteroids. Her crew had trained for months for this mission, learning to move through space without active engines, using precisely calculated gravitational assists to maintain position. It was a technique that would have been impossible for the luminary, who relied too heavily on their advanced technology. The first phase began without warning. As the luminary fleet engaged with Earth's main forces, dozens of modified mining drones suddenly activated throughout the asteroid belt. They weren't weapons, they were noisemakers, broadcasting a chaotic mix of signals that overwhelmed the luminary's sensitive scanning systems. In the confusion, Marcus's Ghost Fleet struck. Emerging from their hiding spots among the asteroids, they attacked with a combination of sonic weapons and conventional warheads. The luminary ships, their defensive systems trying to adapt to too many different threats simultaneously, became vulnerable. "They're falling for it," Sophia reported, as her squadron targeted a cluster of luminary support ships. "Their adaptive shields can't handle the multiple attack vectors." The true genius of Operation Thunderbolt wasn't just in its stealth approach, it was psychological warfare. Humans had studied how the luminary thought, their need for order and perfection, their reliance on predictable patterns. This attack violated every principle they understood about space combat. Earth ships appeared to move randomly, their attacks coming from impossible angles. Some deliberately shut down their shields to power up massive energy weapons, a tactic the luminary couldn't comprehend. Their entire strategy was based on perfect defense. They couldn't understand an enemy willing to accept damage to inflict greater harm. In the command center of the luminary flagship, the alien admiral watched in growing confusion as their perfect formation began to break apart. Their sensors showed impossible readings, human ships appearing and disappearing, energy signatures that made no sense, attacks coming from debris that couldn't possibly hide vessels. Marcus watched the chaos spread through enemy ranks with grim satisfaction. "Phase 2, he ordered. "Release the Whispers." Hundreds of tiny drones, each carrying a modified version of the sonic weapon, emerged from hiding places throughout the battlefield. Unlike the larger weapons, these were tuned to affect the luminary crystals at a molecular level, creating microscopic imperfections that would grow over time. "They're trying to adapt," Dr. Wright's voice came through the comm from his research station on Ceres. "But their very nature works against them. The more they try to perfect their crystal structure, the more vulnerable they become to our sonic attacks." The battle shifted into its final phase. While Commander Petal's fleet pressed their frontal assault, Marcus's ghost ships struck at the luminary command and control centers. They didn't target the largest ships or the most heavily armed. They went after the vessels that coordinated the luminaries' perfect formations. "Their strength is their weakness," Marcus reminded his crews as they pressed the attack. "They can't operate without complete coordination. Take that away, and all their power means nothing." The turning point came when Sophia's squadron successfully breached the defensive screen around the luminary flagship. Using a daring maneuver that involved riding the shockwave of a controlled antimatter explosion, they got close enough to deploy their full arsenal of whisper drones. The flagship's crystalline surface began to fracture, not catastrophically, but in a spreading network of tiny cracks that disrupted its ability to coordinate the fleet's movements. Without central control, the luminary's perfect formation began to disintegrate. "This is impossible." The luminary admiral transmitted on all frequencies, their usual harmonious tones distorted by confusion. "You cannot defeat perfection with chaos." Marcus's response was simple: "Watch us." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for generations to come. It wasn't just a victory of technology or tactics, it was a triumph of the human spirit. Every crazy maneuver, every improvised attack, every seemingly suicidal charge that turned into a brilliant strategy proved that humanity's greatest strength was its unpredictability. As the luminary fleet retreated in disarray, their perfect crystals scared and their confidence shattered, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. They had just shown the galaxy something new. That sometimes the most powerful force wasn't perfect technology or flawless execution, but the ability to embrace chaos and turn it into victory. Evolution's edge. The Luminary High Council had never known fear, until now. Their grand chamber, a cathedral of living crystal that had stood for millennia, trembled with the echoes of their defeat. The human fleet had followed their retreat, pushing past the boundaries of charted space to strike at the heart of their civilization. Commander Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, watching the crystalline world of the luminary through the main viewport. Behind her, Dr. James Wright studied readings from their sensors, while Marcus Torres coordinated with the ghost fleet that had hidden themselves in the system's debris field. "Their entire planet is one giant crystal matrix," James reported, his voice filled with wonder despite the circumstances. "Everything they built, everything they are. It's all connected in perfect resonance. That's why they can't understand us," Maya realized. "They're part of a system that only works through perfect harmony. Chaos isn't just foreign to them. It's existentially threatening." The luminary's final transmission had been both a warning and a plea. "You cannot comprehend what you risk. Our perfection is not merely our strength, it is our survival. Your chaos will destroy everything." But Maya had seen something in their data, a truth that even the luminary couldn't face. Their perfect civilization was calcifying, becoming too rigid to adapt to the real challenges of the universe. They had eliminated disorder from their society, but in doing so, they had also eliminated the very thing that drove evolution: the capacity to change. "All ships, maintain position," she ordered. "But power down weapons systems." Her command was met with surprised murmurs from her crew. But they trusted her. They had learned that sometimes the most powerful moves in battle were the unexpected ones. "Open a channel to their High Council," she commanded. "Full broadcast, all frequencies." The main screen illuminated with the image of the luminary leadership, their crystalline forms reflecting countless colors as they moved. Maya could see the fear in their multiple eyes, not of human weapons, but of the disorder they represented. "We have not come to destroy you," Maya began, her voice clear and strong. "We've come to show you something you've forgotten. Look at your own history, encoded in your crystal matrices. You weren't always like this. Once, you too embraced change." James activated the display, showing his analysis of luminary biology. "Your crystalline structure. It wasn't engineered for perfection. It evolved as an adaptation to survive. Somewhere along the way, you forgot that imperfection is not weakness. It's the engine of evolution itself." The Luminary Council stirred, their perfect harmony showing the first signs of discord in centuries. Maya continued, "You called us primitive because we didn't match your level of advancement. But we kept something you lost, the ability to grow through imperfection." From his position in the Ghost Fleet, Marcus added his voice. "Every time you thought you had us beaten, we came back stronger. Not because we achieved perfection, but because we learned from our failures. That's humanity's true strength. We fall, we adapt, we rise again." The chamber fell silent as the council processed this revelation. Finally, the first speaker stepped forward, its crystalline form shifting in complex patterns. "You could have destroyed us. Our world's resonance frequency. You discovered it. Why didn't you use it?" Maya smiled. "Because that's another thing you forgot. True strength isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about knowing when not to." What followed was unprecedented in luminary history. A dialogue between order and chaos, between perfection and adaptation. The humans shared their understanding of evolution, of how diversity and even failure could lead to greater strength. The luminary, in turn, began to see their own civilization with new eyes. Dr. Wright worked with luminary scientists to understand how their crystalline technology could be modified to allow for controlled imperfection, small variations that would let them grow and change again. It wasn't an easy process. Centuries of pursuing perfection had left deep marks on their society. But on that day, both species learned something profound about the nature of evolution. The luminary discovered that their drive for perfection had become a dead end, while humanity realized that their seeming chaos held a deeper order, the pattern of life adapting and growing stronger through change. 1 year later, Maya stood in the same chamber, now transformed. Sections of pure crystal had been deliberately altered, creating spaces where new patterns could emerge. Young luminary, their forms showing subtle variations that would have been unthinkable before, worked alongside human scientists and engineers. "We are not perfect," the first speaker announced during the signing of the Earth Luminary Accord. "And for the first time in millennia, we are growing again." Maya looked out at the gathered representatives of both species, the humans with their endless variety, the luminary with their newly embraced potential for change. They had started as predator and prey, advanced and primitive, order and chaos. They had ended as something else entirely, proof that the strongest force in the universe wasn't perfection, but the ability to adapt and grow. As she watched a young luminary engineer excitedly showing a human colleague a new crystal configuration, one that deliberately incorporated controlled flaws to achieve greater flexibility, Maya understood that they had all evolved. The luminary had learned to embrace imperfection, while humanity had discovered that their greatest weakness could become their greatest strength. The new predators of space weren't those who sought perfect power, but those who understood that true strength lay in the ability to change, to adapt, and sometimes, to choose peace over victory. In the end, both species had discovered that evolution's edge wasn't a boundary to be reached, but a continuous journey of growth and transformation.